A Ukrainian peace negotiator is assassinated and executed by Ukrainians? Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America.
And you ain't black. I don't know what I said.
The first time ever any...
What are you people? We're Americans. We are Americans indeed. My name is Vincent. My partner in crime is not here at the moment. But I've got a very, very bizarre story to tell you, dear listener. Now, Dennis Kyriv, as far as I can tell, 5 March 2022 in the year of our Lord, is no longer with us because he was killed. Now, who is Dennis Kyriv and why should you care? Well, here is, now look, a lot of this is going to have to be taken with a grain of salt, dear listener, and the reason it has to be taken with a grain of salt, shout out to Applejack, shout out to Larry Stainamon, OCO, my brother, is because mainstream media is basically blacking this out. I went to CNN, Googled his name in the little CNN thing, not there. This guy, and what just happened recently is not being covered. I did find a guy, Christopher Miller. Christopher Miller is a blue check guy. He's apparently BuzzFeed guy. And here is what Christopher Miller posted. He's got about 300,000 plus followers on Twitter. Here we go. Ukraine Security Service has reportedly shot and killed Dennis Kyriv, a member of the Ukrainian negotiating team. Pictured far back on the right in this photo. He was apparently killed while resisting arrest on suspicion of treason. Okay? Here we go. Mr. Miller was killed on suspicion of treason. Now, this is such a fascinating story because I'm going to show you guys this. I mean, this is unbelievable stuff, what I'm about to show you guys, okay? So, here's what we know. He was working on the peace negotiations with as a representative of Ukraine, okay? And then he gets assassinated. Now, watch this, dear listener. An official statement from Ukraine's Ministry of Defense said, hold on, no, I don't want to read you guys that one yet. Check this one out first, guys. Check this one. You're not going to believe this stuff. So he gets assassinated. Here's story number 1. The Ukrainian Security Service, the SBU, shot and killed Dennis Kyriv, we pronounce it that way, a member of the Ukrainian negotiating team at the first round of negotiations with Russia in Belarus, while attempting to detain him, the Ukrainian parliament, Oleksiy Honcharenko said. Okay? During an attempt to detain Dennis Kyriv, a member of the Ukrainian negotiating delegation, the Ukrainian Security Service shot and killed him. Now watch this. He was suspected of high treason, Honcharenko wrote on Telegram. So the MP or the prime minister, one of the politicians over there in Ukraine, says on his Telegram, "We bodied this dude because we were trying to arrest him, and he was suspected of high treason." Okay. That's what they said, and as Ashura is saying, Azov Battalion killed him. Azov Battalion, we all know, are the Nazis. The Nazis over there in Ukraine. And as CB's talking about, suspected trial jury executioner. Okay? Now watch this, guys. Watch this. This is why I'm saying this is a very fascinating story. So the MP, one of the Ukrainian parliamentarians, says this dude was suspected of high treason. We killed him. Okay. He was resisting arrest and he killed him. Now, me as a black man, CB as a black man, Ashura as a black man or a woman in America, we've heard that story before. Oh, he was resisting arrest. All right. We weren't there. We can't say. Look at this, though, guys. This is going to blow you absolutely away. It's going to really blow you away. However, an official statement from Ukraine's Ministry of Defense said, during the execution of special tasks, 3 spies were killed. Employees of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The fate of Alexei Ivanovich, Kabini Viktorovich, and Denis Kyriev. They perished defending Ukraine, and their rank brought us closer to victory. We express our sincere condolences to the families of the victims. Heroes do not die. They live as long as we remember them. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to our heroes. So the parliament guy is saying this dude was a traitor. The Ministry of Defense is saying this dude was working for us. He's a hero. He died a hero. And then, of course, glory to Ukraine. Yeah. So you got members of the same government, okay, with completely conflicting reports as to the nature of this man's death. Okay? So during the execution of special tasks, notice he doesn't take responsibility for it. Okay. Now here's Alden. Can you verify that, Vin? Is it responsible to spread this stuff if it's unverified? Do you have any clue how Russian propaganda works? Here we go. Al, I just quoted to you 2 Ukrainian sources. Those were Ukrainian sources. It was Harachenko, who is a Ukrainian parliamentarian, who said the dude was a traitor. And it was the Facebook account of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense that said that this man died as a hero. Now, I do know how propaganda works. I do know how propaganda works because we shot a video a couple days ago about the Ukrainian propaganda where they were claiming that they were shooting down planes, and we figured out it was a video game, or maybe the Snake Island folks, where they said, fuck you, Russia, and then supposedly those individuals died. They all died heroes, all 13 of them, and we all know that they were all taken captive. So I do understand how propaganda works, and I'm with you. My daughter can be witness because I told her a half an hour ago, or maybe 45 minutes ago, she's sitting right there, that come over here and tell them the truth. I said, I'll be up in 3 minutes. I'll be working in 3 minutes. How long was I up here? About 45 minutes? Come over here, beautiful. Huh? 20 minutes. I was supposed to shoot this 20 minutes ago. Tell them.
It was about 20 minutes ago when he sent that to
Go
me.
down there and show the beautiful people. Go ahead. Tell them in the camera. Go ahead.
It was about 20 minutes when he said that.
Working. Looking it up. Making sure I could verify the information. Thank you very much, beautiful. Dear listener, this was Ukraine's own person, and they killed him. Now listen, one faction in Ukraine is saying this dude was a traitor, so we killed him. Or we liquidated him, I think is a term. That's a term that Harachenko used. Harachenko, I used to know a guy. And when he talked about killing people, he talked about reducing them. He said that guy, he reduced him. Those folks are kind of weird. I'm not going to lie to you. But, Harachenko, in another quote, says, we liquidated him because he was working for the Russians. Okay? So that it's unbelievable. But dear listener, we continue. I'm lost. What was the motivation behind the killing? I'll tell you in a second. It's a war. Propaganda has been part of it as long as it's existed. But why are you focused on Ukrainian propaganda and not Russian, where they shut down all non-governmental media? Well, that's because everybody in America understands that Russia does propaganda. Everybody understands that Mr. Putin is a despot and a horrible person. Everybody understands that their free speech is curtailed over there in Russia, my brother. But people believe that there's some utopia over there in Ukraine, and they have this simplistic idea that Ukrainians are all just good people, and the Ukrainian government is just populated with just the best people on the planet. The other thing is that, Alden, our social media and our national media is not out pumping and participating in Russian propaganda, but they are out there and participating in Ukrainian propaganda. And I don't like that when my government is participating in trying to propagandize me and my friends, of which you are one of them. I don't like it when when the American government is participating in propagandizing me. I don't like that. It happened to me in Iraq, and after that whole Iraq situation, I told myself I would never let it happen again, because it cost me dearly. Okay? All we know right now is that this man was a negotiator for peace out there in Belarus trying to do his thing. And he was killed by Ukrainian forces. Ukrainians killed him. And one faction of Ukrainians are saying this dude was a spy and we liquidated him. Another faction was saying he was working for us and he died in the line of duty as a hero. Glory to Ukraine. Now here, dear listener, is something that's really, really, really interesting. Check this out, and I got to tell you, I did not post the fullness of this because, quite frankly, it's too graphic to show you, and I'm not gonna do this war porn stuff where I put this stuff in the the title page, and then I show you guys all the atrocities of war and get a big giant emotional reaction out of you. So I'm not going to show you the full picture. I'll probably put the Twitter link to this young lady's profile, and then you can do what you will with that. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, take this all with a grain of salt. We know, as Alden said, that the Putinians and the Russian government themselves are liars. They have a history of lying and propaganda. By the way, I have an interview with the Ukrainian soldiers that were killed in Snake Island. The Russians have those folks, and they made them do an interview. I didn't cover it because, quite frankly, I was so disgusted with Russia for doing that because it's a violation of the Geneva Convention. You don't take captured soldiers and then parade them around on camera. But those fools were no. This is not Pravda. This was Times of Israel. This was multiple sources. Kai, good question. I did not post that because that's a war crime. It's a violation of the Geneva Convention to parade around soldiers. Now, these soldiers were saying, I saw the video, but I wouldn't do a story on it because I didn't want to participate in violating the Geneva Convention, as well as the fact, Alden and the rest of you, I know that that's all propaganda, because in the video they were saying Zelensky didn't even know we were there, they buried us before we were dead, yada yada yada, fuck Zelensky, yada 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 yada, the soldiers treated us nice, yada yada yada. And I knew exactly what that was. That was Russian propaganda and I wasn't going to be party to it. Okay? And then it turns out that Ukraine is out there parading around captured Russian soldiers, and CNN and Fox News and all the rest of it are quoting these captured soldiers who are saying, this is horrible, this is terrible, I ask all you Russian people to put down your arms, yada, 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 yada. Do what you will with that, dear listener. Do what you will with that. What's up, Rick Vertigo in the house? Okay, now, guys, I haven't gotten to the best part of this or the worst part of this. White media oopsies on Ukraine expose bias on racism. I agree. Africans being forced to enlist and not leave. You know what, Ashura? Do me a favor, vinandsori@gmail.com. Get me that, and I'll run a story on that for sure. I have heard that there's been a bunch of racism for African peoples over there in Ukraine, and it doesn't surprise me considering their history with Nazism. But I'm not going to report on it until I get something factual on it. You see about that? Saw the bit about them killing. Yeah, River. But the thing is, River, you're being ridiculously nuanced and consistent in your. Now, River's on the other side of this debate with me, but they're being completely nuanced and consistent. And River, you know that that's the exception and not the rule. Ashura, I do have a Twitter, VIN and SORI. VIN and SORI. Okay. I think it's VIN and SORI. Okay, guys. Now here is one that is gonna blow you away. I mean, I could not believe this. Check this out. And again, you've got to take this with a grain of salt, okay? Now here's the big homie. Rest in peace to him. Okay, he was killed. Rest in peace to him. Okay? Now look at this. The Ukrainian SBU, that's their special forces unit basically. Liquidated, remember the term liquidated was used by Horachenko over there. A member of the Ukrainian negotiating group, Denis Kyriv. Kyriv was killed during detention. Okay, now this woman is saying that Kyriv was killed during detention. This was reported by the Ukrainian MP Dubinsky. Okay? Now look at this. The mayor of Gostomel, which was in the Kiev region, Yuri Prilipko, was killed by the SBU for organizing negotiations between the Russian armed forces and the Special Operation Forces of Ukraine regarding the evacuations of civilians from the city 2 days ago. That's becoming a dangerous and bloody tradition. The Ukrainian far-right militants openly boasting and taking responsibility for the killing of Mayor Kremenoy in the Luhansk region for being pro-Russian. And then she's got the Twitter pic there, which I refuse to show you because it's this man laid out and he's dead. And if you translate it, it's them saying Russian scum, yada, 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 yada. It's Ukrainians killing other Ukrainians. But I wanted you to see the significance of this. The mayor of Gostomel in the Kiev region, Yuri Prilipko. I don't know how to pronounce brother's name. He was also killed. He was also killed by these far right Nazis, which is what happens. What happens when you work with Nazis? They're bad people. And when you have this Machiavellian idea that you can work with Nazis, but you can contain them, this is the type of stuff that ends up happening. Now, again, you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt because the Ukrainians are not shy about lying. In our media is not shy about promoting those lies, and we know that we know how Putin gets down. So a lot of this, you just have to. I don't know, but what it looks like to me. Now here's Chris Sims. Chris. Here we go. Does American militia scum represent us as a people? My brother, if American militia scum tried to do a march down the street in New York City or Washington, D.C., let's say the American militia scum were marching down Washington, D.C., what do you think would happen in the great old U.S. of A.? You know what would happen? Antifa would show up. Black Lives Matter would show up. There would be a counter protest bigger than that march. You know how I know? Because when Trump got elected, a bunch of neo-Nazis called Unite the Right. They tried to do a cute little rally, and they got met by Antifa, BLM, the New Black Panther Party, etc., etc., etc. There was a massive counter protest. There was blood in the streets, and human beings literally died. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, my brother, but people died. When I was in New York City, the KKK... This is a true story, Sam. The KKK tried to do a little march in New York City. In Manhattan. The white part of New York, then the lower streets. You get the higher streets, uptown, Lenox Avenue. That's where all the brothers were, and they didn't want no smoke with us. So they went down 42nd Street, which all the white folks were. You know what happened to them? They had to have a police escort, and they had to end their little stunt early because there was a massive counter protest, and they were terrified. I reported on this during the Black Lives Matter uprising that there was an entire sheriff's department in California. And it was discovered that the heads of the sheriff's department were neo-Nazis. You know what happened to that sheriff's department when it was discovered that they were neo-Nazis? It was shut down immediately. I read another story where you had police, these cops that prison guards basically. And during their graduation photo, they all did one of these things. You know what happened to those people? They got shut down immediately. All of them were terminated. My brother, in Ukraine, these Nazis were marching out in the open, in the streets, and they were celebrated with flowers, and there were little to zero counter-protesters. There was no violence, just flowers for those Nazis. And the Azov Battalion, which is infested with Nazis. Let me use a different term, because the term infested is dehumanizing, and as horrible as they are, they're still image bearers of God. But is heavily populated with neo-Nazis. Were allowed by their government to take part in violating the Minsk Agreement on a multitude of occasions and kill those people over there in Donbass. So this attempt to say, well, we've got Nazis and KKK in America, that doesn't represent us. Wrong. As racist as the United States is, and it is, trust me, I'm a black man in America, it's racist as fuck. However, when our country discovers that you're a Nazi motherfucker and you're a chief of police, you get fired. And when you and your silly Nazi friends try to cosplay and walk down the street in your fucking hoods and shit, you gotta have a police escort and you're gonna run for your life. And there's gonna be blood on the ground. That is not what happened in Ukraine. It's not what happened. What happened was they got celebrated with flowers and they were greeted as heroes. as recently. I'm not going to talk about that right now. But please stop with this comparison. It's not a good comparison. It's not a good comparison. And somebody made a very good point. These are not neo-Nazis, by the way. They're not neo-Nazis. They're just Nazis. These folks, literally, many of them are the inheritors of folks who fought literally side by side with the Nazis in World War II. So they're not neo-Nazis, and we kept them around as that to once again put pressure on the Soviets during the Cold War. So they never truly stopped being Nazis. Now look, this is not all of Ukraine. But the people that are running around and massacring people, are we supposed to believe when they're talking about liquidating? When these people are talking about liquidating this guy, whose side am I taking? I don't know. Do you? Is it impossible to believe? Max Blumenthal just talked about this. I'm going to talk about it in a second, guys. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of. I think sure, there's a difference between a neo-Nazi and a Nazi, right? A neo-Nazi is like one of these ridiculous Americans. They go to prison for some petty larceny or something. They read Mein Kampf in prison. They're hanging around with the skinheads, and now they come out and they put, white shoelaces in their boots and shit. Now they're walking around, doing the Sieg Heil thing. But their fathers fought Nazis. These people, their fathers fought side by side with Nazis. It's a legacy. So I think there's a difference between a neo-Nazi and a Nazi. And I agree. I mean, a Nazi is a Nazi is a Nazi. I agree with you completely. But you see the difference there. But these folks right here, it's I'm going to read it to you again, because one version is that he was resisting arrest. This is what Horochenko said. He's an MP. This is Parliament. He said, hey, guy was resisting arrest. We have evidence that he was committing high treason, so he died in the midst of resisting arrest. The other one is, no. He was working for us and he died, and they didn't say who killed him. Okay? And then you've got this lady who's saying the Ukrainian liquidated member of the Ukraine negotiating group, he was killed while he was in detention. Okay? That is not an assassination. That is an execution. He was killed while he was in detention. That's what they're saying. The other part of this is, and we're gonna have to talk about this. Yuri Polipko. Okay, I'm completely butchering these names, and I'm really sorry that I'm butchering these names, because these people are important. But she's claiming that here he was trying to negotiate for peace, to get these guys out as quickly as possible, in a safe manner, and he's also executed. So look, guys, I don't know. I have no idea. Here's another thing that is reported by this MP. And again, this is a blue check person. Doesn't mean that she's right, but she's not some person with a tinfoil hat, because you guys know how I get down. Kyrie was actually killed right in the center of Kiev. He was literally executed, shot in the head at the entrance of the Peshurk court. Now, again, I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. All I can tell you, dear listener, is that we're not hearing a thing about this guy on mainstream media. And I gotta ask you, if there was a Russian peace negotiator who was executed by Russians, with a Russian PM saying, yeah, we liquidated him because he was suspicious, we suspected him of treason, that wouldn't be all over the airwaves in the United States media? we wouldn't be hearing about that. I got a question for you, dear listener. If you think I'm crazy, and I probably am, and I have no problem saying that. I have no problem saying that. Now, I know some of you are like, well, I don't know, Vin. That girl, she sounds like she's got a Russian last name. What's this? Is this candy for me? Look at this. My daughter gave me some candy. Some of y'all are going to be like, I don't know, Vin. That girl, she's got a Russian last name. So, I mean, can we really, look at that. I mean, look at her last name. I know what that's like. I know you will. I know you mean well, because I know you, but you're coming off as painting the entire Ukrainian people as Nazis while hundreds of them are being killed every day for simply defending their country. No, my brother. The entire Ukrainian country are not Nazis. What I'm saying is that their government played around with Nazis, and they nursed Nazis, and they fostered them. And now, as history tells us, they cannot get that demon back into the box. In the very same way, and I've been saying this over and over again, Al, we played around with Al Qaeda in Libya. We were now I know this for a fact. I put this on my firstborn. I know this for a fact. We were playing with Al Qaeda in Libya. Okay? And some of those folks jumped in vans and such and went down to Syria to continue the jihad fi sabilillah. And then they went to Iraq, etc., etc. We worked with Al Qaeda to get rid of Mr. Gaddafi. And then they had slave markets the next day. And then we did the same thing with these radical extremists. And then we had ISIS the next day. And we worked with the Mujahideen. And then we had Bin Laden. Now, I'm not one of those people that says, we trained Bin Laden. What I'm saying is, we worked with the Mujahideen to fight a proxy war for us. This is standard CIA bullshit. I know this. Now, when I don't know something, I say, I have no idea. I know this. This is what we do. It's one of the first things you learn. The philosophy is we would much rather fight by proxy than fight directly. Why? Because we don't have the weapons? No. If we fought directly, actually, we'd be able to solve the problem a lot sooner. The problem is public interest in the UN and a couple other things. So we always prefer to fight by proxy. Okay? So when you join up with Al Qaeda, you get slave markets in Libya. When you join up with Jabhat al-Nusra and all the rest of this nonsense over there in Syria, you get the Islamic State in the Levant. And when you join up with Nazis and arm neo-Nazis, when you arm historical Nazis, and you've got a country that allows for that, then when shit gets really hot like it is right now, there is no way possible to get that demon back into that box so that you can sick him on whoever you want. That's not how these things work. That's what I'm saying, Al. Everybody knows that I speak with nuance here. I'm not saying that all of the Ukrainian people are Nazis. However, I'm also a big believer in, if you're in a country with a right to vote, then you hold culpability. And that's why I'm even having these discussions. Because we're responsible for the agitation and the provocation and the instigation of this conflict from our government, because we continue to support the empirical aspirations of our country, Alden. We continue to do this. And we continue with this Machiavellian idea that as long as it's promoting American ideals, bro, we're good. But wait a second, isn't that Al-Qaeda? We're good. Somebody looked me in the face and told me that. There's a black flag up there. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. The black ISIS flag? Man, that's not an ISIS flag. It's a prophecy in Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Muslim, that says that the group of Muslims that's going to bring about the Khalifa, the global Khalifa. They're going to have a black flag with the Khalim on. Okay? So I'm telling you, that's my issue. That's my issue. Okay, so okay, I'm half Egyptian. I work for Uncle Sam too. I lived in Arab Spring. Okay then. And what I'm saying is, it's not limited to what we did in the Arab Spring. We've been doing this for 3 or 4 decades, my brother. I'm saying that because I'm around 3 decades. But we can't. When you're in a country where you get to vote, you've got to hold culpability for yourself. I, as an American, even though I spoke out against Joe Biden, I spoke out against Trump, I am still benefiting from my country's bullshit empirical design. So that means I have to take some culpability. Okay? I have to take culpability. I can't just say, oh, I had nothing to do with this. I can't do that. I'm in a country that voted for Bush and then voted for Bush again. And then we had Obama, and Obama bombed so many innocent human beings, creating an image and likeness of God, that we ran out of bombs, and we voted for him again. We can't just say, oh no, we're not responsible. Bro, you got Nazis walking down your streets, and the only thing they're greeted with is flowers. You got a government that is arming Nazis with American munitions, and you have the ability to vote, and you didn't vote that out of your country? I got an aunt, bro, that died in 9/11. I got an aunt that died in 9/11. But I am partially responsible. Well, I was a kid at the time. I wasn't able to vote. But my parents were partially responsible for the death of my aunt, because they're able to vote. And the circumstances that led that madman to do what he did to our folks on 9/11 could have been adversely effective or positively affected if we would have voted and done the right thing by our neighbors in the world. So I'm speaking as a person who's got losses in this situation. When you're in a country that allows you to affect your government and you don't do something about it, you're partially responsible. We don't get to do, oh, democracy, blah, blah, blah. We don't get to do that, only when it's good. I was, we're talking to some folks, some activists about Medicare for all in the United States. And I told her, obviously the whole Democrat, Republican, neoliberal, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, I said, listen, these people, these neoliberals and these Republicans, they've told us very clearly. Joe Biden said during the midst of a pandemic, he said that if a Medicare for all bill passed this table, he would veto it. I said, because this lady was basically recruiting me in Sori. I said, okay, that means that they've told us they don't give a fuck, right? That means they told us we don't care about y'all. Okay, Joe Biden has made it clear. So what I said to that lady was, hey, listen, he's made it clear where he stands. I'm not going to waste my time pointing my finger at him. I've got to take responsibility for the fact that I've got some influence in my country. I need to find ways to influence my country towards a more humane, if not Christ-like, medical philosophy and implementation. I got to take responsibility for that. If I lived in a complete and total despot ran country, then fine, I have an excuse. If Nero or Domitian was my leader, then fine, I have an excuse. But I can vote. I can speak. I haven't spoken out enough. I haven't done enough civically to get some medical justice for the people in my own country, our own flesh and blood. I'm going to take self-accountability for that. That's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos. Take some accountability, guys. Our country is part of the reason that these two brothers are at each other's throats right now. Yes, we are. This bullshit game that we played with NATO, arming these people. Don't you realize that think about this, one of the reasons that Trump got, it's mind-blowing when you think about it. One of the reasons that Trump got impeached, the main reason, was supposedly he was dangling something over Zelensky's head in order to get contrary information about Biden. And do you know what he was dangling over Zelensky's head? Weapons to kill more Donbassian Russians. And we're constantly playing these games with these people. Left wing, right wing, blah, blah, blah. We know what they're going to do. So we've got an opportunity in 2022, in midterms. We've got an opportunity in 2024 to make some demands of our country so that we can stop this from happening again in another 2 to 5 years. Wouldn't that be great? Maybe we could take some accountability for ourselves. That's my point. We've got to be accountable, and the Ukrainians got to be accountable. We're saying that the Russians are led by Hitler. Okay, fine. Putin's literally Hitler. Okay, well, if Hitler's running your country, what else can you do? But the Ukrainians, they're a democracy over there. Isn't that what I'm being told? Okay, so you're a democracy. A democracy is supposed to reflect the will of the people. Okay, you allowed Nazis to march down your street in a hail of petals of flowers. You did not force the hand of your parliament to denazify your government and the Azov Battalion. You flirted with it. Okay, at some level you got to hold those people accountable, bro. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Ukrainian Interior Minister, I can't pronounce, Monastrisky, is even worse than their last one. Kavkov, asking for expulsion of Russians from Interpol is beyond ridiculous. Correct. Correct. We have got to take we've got to take accountability is all I'm saying. We got to take accountability for each other. Vin, can you explain, is your position that NATO and Ukraine provoked Russia, but that Russia is now overkilling in retaliation? Ian, I don't know what the numbers are, but that's, Ian, that region of the world is not my specialty. So I don't have the right to have a position on it. I am simply parroting, my brother, what people have been saying for the last 30 years. Mikhail Gorbachev, Boris Yeltsin, Noam Chomsky, the Paul, father and son, Joe Biden. I don't know if you caught Jimmy Dore a couple hours ago. Joe Biden stood up on the floor of the U.S. Senate and said, if we expand NATO Baltic, it's going to be a red line for Russia. I was mind blown. I was like, what the funk? What? So my position is, it is obvious when you look at the Monroe Doctrine, which was, remember, that was the entire beef, right, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had the Monroe Doctrine. Look, the West is ours. Don't come into the West with any of that commie bullshit. You remember, that's the Monroe Doctrine. And then Khrushchev said, man, fuck the Monroe Doctrine. We're going to go and put missiles right into Cuba. And we said, oh yeah? Keep doing that shit. We're going to start World War III, bitch. The Cubans are close by us. I know that the Cubans are close by us because when I was in Florida, this is actually pretty horrible. When I was in Florida, there was actually a station you could watch. This is a true story, where you would literally see the Cubans, floating over on their flotillas or whatever to come to America. So I know Cuba's close to America, but they're not a border. They're not on the border. We're about to start World War III over that shit. So Ian, that is my position, is that we, because I believe we control NATO, we instigated this conflict in spite of 30 years worth of warnings from everybody under the fucking sun, whether it's Boris Yeltsin, Mikhail Gorbachev, a leftist like, pseudo-anarchist, quasi-anarchist like Noam Chomsky, to a far-right fucking libertarian like Rand Paul and Ron Paul. They were all saying it. Noam Chomsky said that some degree of Russian aggression is sensible. And they've been saying it, probably, Ian, I don't know how old you are, since before you've been born, my brother. I'm going to do another video on why I think our country instigated this shit. But they absolutely instigated this shit. Sure, thank you. You sent me video links on YouTube. Okay, I will check them out. I will report on them for sure. Amazon sells Azov gear, just to change the subject. I did not know that. But it would not surprise me. What would we do if the Russians backed the coup in Mexico, pushed them into a hostile U.S. alliance, and started putting weapons and missiles in Mexico? Yeah, and the analogy is even worse than that, because I don't think Americans don't even understand that, because Americans aren't afraid. Well, I don't know. In the last 5 years, I don't know, Applejack, because in the last 5 years, our media has done a damn good job at terror and really turning the Russian people into everything other than the children of God that they are. Now they're just these horrible, monstrous, whatever. But let me ask you guys a question. Let's go into Vinny's alternate universe. Dear listener, what if in some strange alternate universe, ISIS, the Islamic State, those folks that are beheading people on camera that terrified Americans for a couple years, 2 or 3 years. What if ISIS somehow became a nuclear power? What if they established their entire region over there in the Middle East and they were a nuclear power on par with the United States? That means economically and militarily, they were on par with the United States, ISIS. And ISIS decided that they were going to start a coalition of nations called Islamo that were militarily hostile to the United States. And they started racking up all these nations into Islamo. And then they turned their eyes toward Mexico or Canada. How long do you think America would play around with Canada flirting to join the Islamo coalition? Let's say the Canadians, I don't know, last year amended their constitution to push them closer to the Islamo coalition. And we got before the UN and said, listen, we cannot allow this. Remember, we've got the Monroe Doctrine. We cannot allow this. We are not going to allow you to join the fucking Islamo fucking coalition. That's not going to happen. And as you're having that discussion, Sheikh Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, radiallahu anhu, he sends the Canadians and Turkey and Egypt and all these other places. They're constantly sending the Canadians billions of dollars worth of high-tech weaponry that even supersedes American weaponry. How long do you think it would be? How long, dear listener, do you think it would be before Canada was vaporized? You think that America would take that long You think America would be as patient? Come on, man. Come on. This Canada would be over in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. You know that. That's what you're asking Russia to do. That's what you're asking Russia to do. And again, it's not about your interest. It's about your existential survival. Yes. And now we're talking about getting our oil from Venezuela, which is a whole other, all other thing. The West, led by the Americans' belief they've been entrusted by God to decide the fate of other people. The U.S. prefers not to be guided by international law, but the rule of the gun. Correct. They have come to believe in their own exceptionalism, believing they can decide the destinies of the world and that they can, that only they can ever be right. Correct. You know, when we talk about the war in Iraq, do we say we invaded a sovereign nation who had the right to have weapons of mass destruction because they're a sovereign autonomous nation and we're bad people for doing that? Fuck no, that's not what we say. What we say is we're bad because we invaded Iraq because they had no WMDs. Well, doesn't Iraq have the right as a sovereign nation to have WMDs? Well, sure, they had the right, but at the time, we were terrified by militant Islam, and we viewed Iraq as an Islamic country, and if they had WMDs, we were certain they were going to come after us. You see? Do I think Biden is doing a good job not sending troops over? I don't believe that Biden had any intention, or Obama, or Clinton, or Bush. I don't believe they had any intention of fighting Russia on behalf of any of these Eastern Bloc nations. I believe that this is a carryover from a Cold War mentality where we're going to go ahead and we're going to make life as miserable as possible for Russia so that Russia is constantly in some sort of jihad so that they cannot go out and improve themselves as a sovereign nation. Clinton bobbed Serbia for 3 months to bring freedom to their far southern part, Kosovo, and help them detach from ex-Yugoslavia. Shout out to Yugoslavia! In 2 weeks, we created the biggest military base, bond still there. Wonder why? Correct. No, I don't believe that anybody has the right to join NATO. That's not a right. NATO is a hostile coalition of nations, and anybody that is saying, "Oh, that's not a problem," is speaking from their American privilege. Anybody that just disregards that as a threat, you're speaking from your American privilege. You're in a country that's a superpower. You're in a country that has the most advanced weaponry in the world. You are not bordered by a vassal nation who has demonstrated hostility to your nation. So you have no conceptual idea psychologically of the threat that these people are under. So you can sit back and say, oh, well, don't they have the right to join whatever coalition they want? You're not thinking about this from the lens of, well, holy shit, how would I feel if I was a Russian? Ukraine cannot beat Russia. Everybody knows it. That is correct. That is correct. There is no way that Ukraine is going to beat Russia. I had somebody trying to argue with me an hour and a half ago, and God bless you, but it is fucking possible. It will never happen. As a matter of fact, if you know anything about war, what is obvious is that the Russians are demonstrating a hell of a lot of restraint right now. Now watch this. I'm saying they're just demonstrating restraint. Automatically, people are going to be like, so you're saying that Putin's being not... What I'm saying is they're not putting out the full brunt of the Russian military or what their capabilities are. Why they're not doing that, I don't know. I don't know. But I can tell you for a fact that they're restraining themselves for whatever reason. So, look, guys, horrible situation. But the point of all I'm trying to do is I am trying to, A, not be propagandized by my government or anybody's government, by the way. I'm not out here, number one, I don't want to be propagandized by anybody. I'm a free man. And I'm going to make decisions based on my intellect, information, etc. And I'm sure you feel that way as well. Number two, I want us to take accountability for our role in this bullshit. I want you to understand that if you're an American, you have privilege. You're privileged. No matter what you feel about gas prices and all the rest of it, it's not even about, oh, you're not under a subway, whatever. You live in a country that bombs the fucking shit out of people so much that you run out of bombs. And nobody can say anything or do anything to you. That is not how the rest of the world lives. I just saw Putin. I saw a speech from Putin where Putin said, I mean, yeah, man, I know you guys, we can't fuck with the combined force of NATO. And then he said, but we got nuclear weapons, though. You combine power, the human ego, some nationalism with some American over-greedy capitalist empiricism, and we have World War fucking III on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. But we can demand that our government stop fucking with people. We can do that. We can make that a real part of the agenda. But as long as we're uncritically listening to our media and letting them drag us along, we're not going anywhere. But hell, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Some of us have been completely programmed by this media, man. You've been programmed. You think it's a coincidence that they kept throwing around that term Nazi, 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 all during the Trump administration? Nazi this, Nazi that. Everybody's a Nazi. You remember that? Nazi, Nazi. Trump's a Nazi. Nazi, 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 Nazi. They flooded you with that. And I said, no, stop saying that. Nazi's a real thing. Whoa, do you support Trump too? You're a Nazi. Now, and all of us knew in the back of our minds that he wasn't really a Nazi. He was a bloated fucking, mutated version of capitalism on crack. But he wasn't a fucking Nazi. But you threw that term around over and over and over again. Do you know what happens? So now when we're dealing with actual fucking Nazis, you've got Nazi fatigue. You can't recognize what an actual real Nazi is now. Huh? Putin, Russiagate, 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 Russiagate. So now, you hear something about Putin, automatically he's the bad guy. There's no nuance. There's no colors. It's just black and white. Not even a little bit of gray. Nope, black and white, man. Putin's bad. 5 years they've been doing this with us, guys. And we're just going to sit here and uncritically eat whatever these people are feeding us about this story. Why isn't the assassination of this guy all over the place? He's out here fighting for peace. Here's Alden. Here's Alden. He was willing to use Nazis, though. What do you mean? Well, okay, give me a specific time, Alden, where he used Nazis. Tell me when he used Nazis. Because a Nazi means something. We're talking about National Socialists. Tell me when he used actual Nazis. I want to know. I want to know. We're just throwing this stuff out here all over the place. The U.S. is solely responsible for spreading fake PR campaign against Russia. Look, guys, I'm going to talk about the economic ramifications of. You should be in on this one too, by the way. When I talk about the next one, I'm saying be in on it in the sense that, you know, watch and take notes for your reports and shit. See, this is the glories of homeschooling, dear listener. She's in the real shit. Hopefully there's still a country by the time your brother's president, and there's still a world by the time your brother's president, and you can vote accordingly. Because we've absolutely fucking failed you and your generation. This bullshit is on us. So I'm educating all of you guys as an act of repentance. So inshallah, you guys can undo the bullshit that we're doing. We inherited it from our parents, and we have not done a very good job of making sure that it dies in our generation. So, sweetheart, if there's still an Earth, and I'm a post-millennialist, so there'll still be an Earth. But if there's still an Earth, by the time you're ready to vote, you'll know not to vote for any of these dumb motherfuckers out here. They're trying to kill us all. By the way, my friend Amy Lee is saying, "Go, girl." One of these feminist people. Okay, so here's Alden. I said, Alden, show me how Trump was using Nazis. Not condemning them for votes is what I meant. Okay, and again, there's Charlottesville. You cannot compare Charlottesville to Ukraine. And again, Alden, I can show you. Okay, so Alden, if I show you that Trump condemned Charlottesville, will that change your mind? Yeah, you can add whatever you want. Say whatever you want. What's up, Kamikaze? I'm tired of being America's bitch. If we're not fighting, then what the fuck am I trading for? I hear you. Trust me, bro. I hear you. By the way, let me not talk about Edward Snowden. Where did Edward Snowden go when he was running for his life? When Snowden was fleeing for his life, as Muslim said, mashallah, Mr. Muslim, I appreciate you, buddy. Hey, free Americans. Americans who have the ability to judge Russia for being a fascist state. When Barack Hussein Obama was president of the United States, these United States of America, and Edward Snowden exposed them. Amy, I know you don't like it, but it is what it is. Where did he go? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. You guys, come on. Oh, look, I'm not saying that you have to agree with me, guys, okay? I've got a lot of there's so many things I need to learn, okay? There's so many things I need to learn. But, guys, all I'm saying is, can we watch the media with some critical thinking? Why isn't Dennis Kyrie's death on every front page? I mean, he was a peace negotiator. Isn't that the whole thing? Everybody wants peace in Ukraine. Don't you want peace in Ukraine? Somebody's going over there, murdering a peace negotiator. It turns out to be a Ukrainian. I mean, shouldn't that be news? Why isn't that on everybody's front page? Alden, explain to me. Why the fuck is our media posting? I should have said that to you. I'm not mad at you, bro. I'm mad at the situation. You're my brother. But Al, why is it that our media was completely fine with posting Ukrainian propaganda, the Snake Island bullshit? Did you know that these lying bastards actually use footage in a video game? You know, like you shoot down a plane in a video game? They were like, oh, we just shot down a Russian plane. It was a fucking video game, I swear to God, on everything. They did that. Why are they publishing news reports about that? Anderson Cooper is looking very serious. He's got his glasses on. Oh, fuck you, Russian warship. And those people died. He had a little moment of silence. He got all choked up. Why isn't anybody talking about this dude, Dennis Kyrie, being assassinated and in some reports executed by his own people? Why? Isn't that strange to you? That make you go, you know, in the hood we had this thing. Things that make you go, Arsenio Hall, y'all don't know about that. Maybe Applejack knows about that. Vin, I will tweet you the poll numbers. Russians are loving Putin even more now. You know what else increased? You know what happened during 9/11? Don't you guys remember the Arab Street? Remember that whole thing? See, we forget so quickly. Don't y'all remember the Arab Street? And all of a sudden, you saw these young Arab men from between 18 and 36 years old say, man, fuck America. I'll die fighting America. What happened all of a sudden? It's almost like when you continually antagonize people, it radicalizes them. It's almost like that. Can we trust those polls? No, because anything that shows Ukraine or US in a bad light, can't trust it. Anything that shows Russia in a bad light is absolutely true. I mean, I'll talk to anybody. The problem, Neil, is that I've been reading and looking at people who's dedicated their entire lives to that region of the world. And for years, they were predicting that this would happen. 4 years. That's why I don't quote myself in these situations. I don't quote myself in these situations. If I'm talking about the Middle East and all that shit in the Arab Spring, I speak freely. I don't quote myself in these situations. I quoted people who've been talking. There is a guy who's making the rounds. He's talking about this since 2015, right after the Minsk Accords got signed. So, unless our sister is an expert in the region and has dedicated her entire life to that and got her doctorate on the differences between Gorbachev and Khrushchev, like some of these people I'm listening to. Obviously, one is going to carry more weight than the other, right? 100% agree with you about the media. There was a genocide in Ethiopia 2 months ago. The media didn't do a thing. The U.S. government did. The hypocrisy is sick. Well, I mean, those were uncivilized people. You know about that. You know where that's coming from, Alden. You know the deal. What a bombshell of a quote. The U.S. has used it on Americans time and time again. Iraq, Syria, Libya, China, Russia, Iran, etc., etc., etc. Okay. So much love to Zonia, but we are active participants in another global tragedy, and I'm sick of it. And we got to figure out how to hold our folks accountable. Got to hold our foes accountable. Then the president of Ukraine says Putin won't stop with Ukraine. He'll try to take over other countries. Do you think that's militarily possible? No. If Putin had designs to take over the entire world, why did he wait so long? Do you know how long this man's been talking about NATO expansion? And I want you guys to understand something, okay? I'm gonna put something on the screen for you guys, okay? Because I want you to understand something. And again, here's my other point, okay? Here's my other point about Putin. If you would have taken off the table the obvious antagonization of NATO expansion and giving weapons to Zelensky and those boys, if you take that off the table and you force the Ukrainians to be neutral, re-NATO, and then that's the international community, say there are going to be serious repercussions. Don't fuck with those people. And Putin goes and does some dumb shit, that's a different story. That's not what happened. The other thing that we have to point out is, how come this didn't happen during the Trump administration? It's a question that needs to be asked. Why did this happen under Trump? What happened geopolitically that radically changed the landscape under the Trump administration? What happened to Russia-friendly media once Biden got elected and installed in the White House? What did Zelensky do with Russia-friendly media the minute Biden was officially installed in the White House? That's something to think about. The Ukrainian issue needs to be approached very thoroughly. This has been cooking for a long, long time. It's not what just happened overnight. Correct. There's a lot of things that have been going on, guys. Roy says, the Ukrainian authorities pay tribute to the late Kharkiv Denis Borosevic, Valery Viktorovich, and Alexei Ivanovich as heroes, and they say the three died to defend Ukraine. Yes, Roy, we posted that. We'll post it again because I know that you were not here. So here is the "He was a hero" line. We express our sincere condolences to the families of the victim. Heroes don't die. They live as long as we remember them. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes. Okay? That's one. That's coming straight from Ukraine. That was the defense ministry that said that, Roy. And then here is the PM. The PM in Parliament. Oleksiy Honcharenko, who says, during an attempt to detain Denis Kryv, a member of the Ukrainian negotiation delegation, the Ukrainian Security Service, that's the SBU, shot and killed him. He was suspected of high treason. So one group within the government is saying he's a hero. Another group in the government is saying he was a traitor. Do what you will with that, dear listener. White Lion says, I didn't get to your super chats. Hold on, Ashura. Trump presidency was a precursor to Russiagate 2022. France and Canada are banning poutine on menus. Is that real? That can't be real. Man, I don't know if I agree that Russiagate was set up for 2022, but damn it, between the watering down of what the term Nazi meant and giving everybody Nazi fatigue is what I call it, and the complete villainization of Putin, and also the popularization of Russophobia, where you've got blue check people talking about get rid of all Russian nationals and get rid of this and shut down their accounts, and now you've got innocent Russian people caught in the crossfire. Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard not to look at this as purposeful. Right now, as my son says, I'll just look at it as a Deus Ex Machina, but holy shit, it's very, very interesting. PM is Prime Minister, MP's Member of Parliament, thank you for the correction. Dead serious. Yes, there were NATO influences for them rolling into Georgia, Neil. Absolutely there were. Yes, there were. And anybody who tells you otherwise needs to do some more reading. But look, I'm about to do a marathon session, maybe tomorrow, maybe Saturday. Abby Martin did a great interview. So that will be covered for sure. After invading Ukraine, public opinion towards joining the NATO is historically high. Isn't Putin shooting his foot here? Well, of course. I don't think that Putin did the right thing here. I don't think Putin did the right thing. I think it's long-term bad for Russia. And I think that he played right into our hands. I think he's kind of looked at as this 4D chess player, but I think we completely outmaneuvered Putin. And he played right into our hands, so of course it was a horrible thing for him to do. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, but there is a lot, and I agree with Applejack, as I agree with damn near everything Applejack says and does. Trump was not a Putin puppet. I hate Trump, but Trump put sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Correct. And Biden lifted the sanctions. Correct. So can we please stop with the simplistic narratives that the media has pumping out to us? That Trump was a Putin puppet. Stop it. He was not. I don't think anybody in America is a Putin puppet. I think we have a coordinated policy of what we're going to do to these people. And that president to president, and you'll see Obama kind of said, no, I'm not giving you Ukrainians any weapons. What the hell? So you gotta give him some credit for that. But you guys will see in the marathon session what we're gonna talk about. All right, so guys, I don't know. Since 2014, Putin has doubled his foreign reserve and set up an alternate system to SWIFT. An argument can be made that he was preparing for this for a while. Good. Any good leader would do that. I hope he's got alternative to SWIFT for those Russian people, because I don't want those Russian people to suffer. There's a nice young lady on Twitch doing her thing, minding her own business. Her PayPal got shut down. Her Twitch account got shut down. Her bank got shut. Her Visa got shut. All of it got shut down. So I hope Mr. Putin has been working on some alternatives. All right. If you're a praying person, pray for Ukraine. Pray for Russia. Ukraine is a leading exporter of purified neon gas, which is necessary for lasers that are used to etch circuit designs in silicon wafers to create chips, not minerals. White Lion. Amr said Putin should be prosecuted. End of story. Oh, he should be. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's make a deal. When Bush, Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, what's the other one? Who's the one that went up the UN and lied to all them people? Anyway, Bush, Cheney, Condoleezza. Oh, Colin Powell, but he's being prosecuted right now. He's in the hands of Allah, so I'm sure now he knows that what he did was wrong. He's paid his price, I'm sure. Obama, Biden, our SecDef, all these people, when they get prosecuted, if Putin's still around after all those Nuremberg trial happens, then I'll support prosecuting Putin. End of story. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Vin, how do you feel about Russians getting their freedom of speech trampled? Down when they were demonstrating against the war in Ukraine. Well, what I feel about it is that I want to see the videos of the massive demonstrations against concentration camps in Germany at the height of Hitler. People didn't do that because you'd be murdered on sight. So the fact that there are massive demonstrations in Russia against Ukraine indicates to me that the way that people are portraying Putin is not how normal Russian people feel. Unless you're going to tell me that thousands upon thousands of Russians are risking their lives, believes that they will be summarily executed in the streets. Because that's what I would expect to see. I'd expect to see a bunch of executions, not arrests. I was around doing Black Lives Matter. Were you? I was around. There were lots of arrests. I saw a lot of really peaceful, good people get tear gassed. I saw little girls get tear gassed. You know what I saw in America? I saw people fucking shot in the face from 5 feet away with rubber bullets and permanently blinded. I saw septuagenarian old guys get their heads cracked open in the concrete and blood's coming out. And the stormtroopers went right on by. I saw 6'2", fully kitted out Gestapo stormtroopers in America, body slamming 103-pound little girls. So what do I think about people getting arrested? There's free speech being stifled. What I think is that's terrible, and it's all too familiar. What I don't think is that it's only Putin that's doing it. I got a long memory, sis. That's the problem. Okay, so you live in Finland. Okay, so you didn't see it. You didn't see it. So that's cool. But what I just described to you is what happened on the United States soil doing Black Lives Matter. So trust me, I'm in full solidarity with the Russian people. I'm in full solidarity with the Russian people. Fucking BLM. The guy that created All Lives Matter against BLM now sits on the BLM board. Hell yeah, those guys are sellouts, man. Fuck them all. But you get my point, right? Holy shit. And Amir, I gotta tell you, the whole whataboutism thing, I'm sorry, that doesn't work. Amr, you were saying the same thing. Remember, you guys were talking about how Trump was such a horrible person because of the what was it? The cages, the kids in cages. And I said, yeah, man, he's really fucked up putting those kids in cages. And I said, Amr, I said, Amr, answer this for me. Who's the one that built the cages? And remember, Amr, what you said to me? You said, that's a whataboutism, Vin. But I said, Amr, we're about to elect the guy that was the vice president when the cages were being built at the border. You said, that's whataboutism, Vin. No, my brother, that's called being consistent intellectually. But you're a smarter guy than me. I'm not saying this for your benefit. I'm saying this for the rest of the crew. It's called being intellectually consistent so that I don't get the wool pulled over me, so I don't get propagandized and tricked into voting for the same evil motherfucker. It is evil to put children in cages. It's evil to build them, and it's evil to populate them. Both of them are evil. Both are going to be judged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Yom Al-Qiyamah. But you were telling me not to think about that. You called that a whataboutism. I refuse to turn off my memory. I remember the free speech infractions that our government did in the 2020 uprisings and Black Lives Matter. I remember what happened to my folks in the 60s in this fucking country when we were standing up for the right to fucking use the bathroom. So I'm not going to sit here now and say, oh, Vladimir Putin's the worst person in the world because he's quelling people's free speech. Duh. He's evil. He's evil. The thing is, I'm not in Russia. I can't influence whether or not Vladimir Putin will be elected or in power. But what I can do is influence the people here and their fucked up foreign policy. I can do that. But I'm not going to do that wisely if I keep falling for these same narratives and ignoring history. I've got to learn from history, and so do you, my brother. That's all I'm saying. No, the Abby Martin piece on Empire Files is coming really, really soon. It's coming really, really, really soon. I will turn off the background music because Mike asked me to. I will turn it off. Mike asked me to. And CB is saying, third party or stop electoral politics altogether. When Americans stop playing their games, the fear sets in. Correct. That's what I'm saying, guys. And that's what I was saying earlier. We've got to take responsibility. This is our responsibility. When you live in a democracy, you are partially responsible for all the bullshit that your nation does unless you've actively fought, voted, and spoke against it. Listen, if I've been in the YouTube game for a couple years, man, I know how to get subscribers, bro. I could do a 10-minute everyday thing about how bad Putin is. You know what would happen? You just take the right side of the zeitgeist. I knew how to build a channel during Russiagate. You guys have no idea how easy YouTube is to manipulate. Once you figure out what YouTube believes and what YouTube wants to promote, all you have to do is parrot that and you can build your channel, bro. I should go into consulting. Is my opinion that Putin should be prosecuted invalid then? Yeah, Amr. I didn't say it was invalid, but it's overly simplistic, and it does not take into account who the bigger shaitan or shayateen are in this situation. For sure, wallahi, he's a shaitan. But he is not shaitan with a capital S. That's what I'm saying. I don't think the people who make up our long-term strategies are the kind of people who get elected. I don't think we have control over this voting or not. Well, I understand to a degree how one would say that. And Alden, of course, you're a very rational person. And I definitely see some truth to that. But here's what I'll say in answer to that. Until we stop playing around with this two-party bullshit, as Applejack has said, we can't make that argument. If we do something radical and get rid of this two-party bullshit and this shit is still going on like normal, then we can activate that argument. But until we've done that, we cannot say that. It's negative thinking. And it's what these people want us to it's what these people want us to believe. Al-Nabayan says, Vin, I love your knowledge of Islam. Well, alhamdulillah. Shout out to all my Muslim people. Ramadan's coming up, and so it's time for the Israelis to start bombing the shit out of our Muslim brothers and sisters. But I'm sure when that happens, all you guys are gonna have Palestinian flags. All the Twitter heads are gonna start crying, and Saturday Night Live is gonna sing the Palestinian national anthem. That's right, they don't have one. So yeah, I think it's a there you go. Palestine doesn't exist. There it is. There it is. Yeah, our country hates Palestinians because our media is populated by a bunch of racists. Y'all know that. You know that. We got a couple of them in the room. But you know what? I believe the way to beat bad speech is more speech. So outlaw, you racist bastard. I love you. So we're just going to keep talking. You can say that these Palestinian people don't exist. You can invalidate their suffering. All you'd like. But I think the more you educate yourself, the more you'll see that that's a horrible way to look at the world. Vid, did you see that video I sent you about Ukrainian Nazis putting lard on bullets? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. They love calling these people orcs, by the way. They love calling these people orcs. Dehumanizing them. And don't think that I don't see there are implications to calling those people orcs. I got one thing from their MP or their PM, whoever he is, that said, we play white. Which could be a chess reference, but I'm not particularly certain what this dude means by we play white. Why put lard on bullets? Because they hate Muslims. And so in Islam, you're not, the pig is haram. And so they're trying to lace their bullets with lard so that as you're being sent off to the next world, you've got pig basically in your bloodstream, basically. Which is ridiculous because if you die as a shaheed, you're basically guaranteed Jannah. Your spirit goes into a green bird and you float around to the throne of Allah every day. And then Allah says, hey, what can I do for you guys? And they said, Ya Allah, all we want is to go back to earth to die fi sabilillah again. And Allah says, nah, y'all can't do that. That's the one thing I'll deny you. Tell me something else I can do. So then they say, okay, well, they'll tell our brothers what it's like up here. And then that's where the surah came down where it says, those who die in the cause of Allah fi sabilillah are not really dead. Blah 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 blah. But that's a ridiculous tangent. My point is, they're dousing their bullets with lard because they're Islamophobes. They hate Muslim people. They hate them. So in the process of killing them, they want to put lard in it to just demonstrate how much they hate those people. So obviously they don't know the Deen, they don't know the Quran, they don't know Hadith, they don't know anything. They don't know Islamic martyrology, they don't know any of this shit. They're just ignorant, these people. Do you think the hate for Palestinians is an evangelical thing? I do in a way. Of course, I'm an evangelical, so I know. I'm in the inner circle. They hate those people. They hate Muslims, and they particularly hate Palestinians for having the audacity to exist. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, guys, I gotta land the plane. Orc sounds a lot like Untermensch. Yes, it does. It does sound like Untermensch, and that's because it's the same spirit. I told you, they've got a heritage of Nazism, those people. That's a fact. That's a fact. Yeah, I'd like to see it because it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, guys. Verily, Allah has warned you, mankind, of a near torment, the day when man shall see the deeds which his hands have set forth, and the evil one will say, "Woe to me! If only I were dust." There is a God in heaven, I believe. And we have been unjust. I'm saying we as Americans, we've been unjust. And I do believe we'll answer for it. We're an empire, we're walking around, people can't fuck with us, man. We're just going to go and blast the fucking shit out of people. And we're going to screw with that part of the world. We're going to do all this shit because nobody can touch us, bro. We're America. All of us are going to have to answer. I don't care what you believe or don't believe. I'm telling you what I believe. I'm going to have to answer. I'm going to have to answer for it. I'm going to have to answer for how we treated our neighbor, my neighbor outside, my neighbor in my city. I'm going to answer to Christ for all that shit. And I'm so happy that he paid for my sins because I got a lot of them, including being an American. That's one of them. All right. All right, Alden, thank you for the participation. Shout out to the big homie Amr. Yeah, Amr. Shout out to Applejack. My man Applejack rickrolled AOC, and she blocked his ass. She hasn't blocked me yet, bro. So I will make shafa'a for you. I will intercede on your behalf, and she'll unblock you, inshallah. Yeah, you know what a rickroll is, right? Alright, I'll show you later. You can tell somebody important, they click on it. It's like, never gonna build you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna desert you, hurt you. Whatever. Okay. So, alright, guys. Good night, everybody. Shout out to my homie Candy Apple. Shout out to Applejack. Come here, say goodbye to the people. You beautiful thing. You beautiful thing, you. Huh? Wave to the people. Subhanallah. Look at that. Look at that. Look, she's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. Look at the camera. Say hello. Oh my God, she's so beautiful. And for the end, girl power. See, she said girl power right there. That's your corny aunt, Amy. You're probably gonna meet her once. She's like one of the few people you're gonna see in the real world, inshallah.
Oh really?
Yeah. That's cool. You like her. You'll like her. Are you in boots? Yeah. She got tall, bro. She's about to be taller than me. Damn it.
That'll be good.
A little sorry.
By the way.
Huh?
What's your height?
I think 5'9", 5'10", I think. It says on my license. All right. Oh, you're getting popular out here. Everybody, we're popular. No, that's not sorry. That's she's studying for her homeschool stuff. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. She's doing homeschool. She's learning current events, dear listener. Everyone saw it in VIN. He's got no legs. We'll talk soon, yeah. We'll talk soon, Kai. Inshallah. CB's fine set, but we gangsters over here, CB. We gangsters over here. What's up, Tina Benina? As if Tina shows up at the very end of my stream. All right, guys. We got to get out of here. Outro, and then we out, yo. See? I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. Outro, then we out, yo.
And then you rhymed it when you said you're a poet.
And I didn't even know it. In the meantime, love your neighbor, take care of each other. Middle America, we are the media. Till next time, guys.